If the Knicks want to become contenders again one day, they're going to need to pull some savvy trades. While this draft and free agency are all important, being able to make good trades that improves your team is what separates great teams from good ones. You know why the Celtics are always good year after year? It's because Danny Ainge always finesses every team he makes a trade with. The Knicks are not guaranteed to get everyone who they will target in their offseason, so making a good trade could be a way for them to add some really solid building blocks. A couple weeks ago, rumors came out that the Knicks will seek to make trades for both Devin Booker and Damian Lillard. Let's be real, the Knicks aren't going to be able to acquire any of these guys. Both Booker and Lillard play for teams that are trying to build around them, and they have them locked up for the next 4 seasons. Even if those guys did demand a trade, their teams don't have to trade them because of their team contract situations. That's why these trades are going to be realistic trades that could either happen this offseason or next season. For the first trade, the Knicks trade for Chicago Bulls forward Lauri Markannen. It's already been reported that Lauri wants out of Chicago if serious changes aren't made. In this trade, the Bulls trade Lauri Markannen and Max Strus for Kevin Knox, Dennis Smith Jr., and a first-round pick in 2021, and a second-round pick from the Hornets in 2021. So why would the Bulls do this? The Bulls do this if Lauri Markannen demands a trade and makes it clear that he doesn't plan to re-sign with them when he becomes a free agent in 2021. It was reported this season that Lauri Markannen wasn't very happy with how Jim Boylen utilized him. Lauri Markannen is a 7-foot forward who's a really good scorer, but Boylen thought it was a better idea to utilize him as just a stretch 4. When asked for more touches, Boylen told Lauri to just go get more rebounds. And the Bulls look like they're foolishly going to keep Boylen. The Bulls hired a new vice president of basketball operations 3 months ago, yet Boylen is still the head coach of the Bulls. Recently, it's been reported that Boylen and the new front office have a pretty good relationship. Also, the Bulls don't want to fire Boylen and hire another coach, as that would put 2 coaches on their payroll. Now that sounds like a horrible excuse to keep a bad coach, but the Bulls owner is known for being stingy. Boylen and Lauri Markannen don't get along. It's very easy to imagine a situation where Lauri demands a trade and the Bulls move him before he becomes a free agent next summer. For the Bulls, they're getting pretty solid value for a player who wants out. Kevin Knox, while he has been a disappointment, is still a very young player with a lot of potential, especially on the offensive end. Dennis Smith Jr. has failed to live up to his draft hype, but he's still only 22 years old, meaning it's not too late to salvage his career. He's one of the most athletic players in the league. With the right development, he could turn into a quality guard. Probably not a starter, but at least a nice off-the-bench spark plug. The Bulls will also be getting a first-round pick and a second-round pick to help their rebuild. Depending on how Lauri Markannen plays next year, the Bulls may ask for another pick in return. For the Knicks, Lauri Markannen is a great addition to their young core. He's the stretch 4 that the Knicks desperately need alongside RJ Barrett and Mitchell Robinson. I've already talked about on this channel why Julius Randle is such a horrible fit. Along with the rock-bottom basketball IQ, Randle's inability to shoot kills the team's spacing. The Knicks need a stretch 4 that'll create driving lanes for RJ Barrett and make more room for Mitch to work inside. Lauri Markannen could be the stretch 4 that the Knicks need, as he's a career 35% three-point shooter at around 6 attempts a game. Lauri is also a pretty good scoring option himself, as he can score in the post, in the mid-range, and in the pick and pop. Lauri is only a season removed from averaging just under 19 points per game. For the Knicks, Lauri Markannen could be an excellent third option and a nice addition to their team. In the second trade, the Knicks trade Reggie Bullock and a 2021 first-round pick from the Mavericks for Luke Kennard. Luke Kennard was the 12th pick in the 2017 NBA draft. He isn't talked about a lot because he plays for an awful Detroit Pistons team, but he's turned himself into a really quality role player. This season, Kennard averaged just under 16 points, 4 boards, and 4 assists a game on 44% shooting from the field, 40% from 3, and 89% from the free throw line, which are very good shooting splits. But why would the Pistons do this? Well, the Pistons did put Luke Kennard on the trade block last year. In fact, they almost traded him to the Suns for a first-round pick, but they couldn't come to an agreement on whether there would be a protection on the pick. In this trade, the Pistons are getting back Reggie Bullock, who is a solid 3-and-D role player, and a future first-round pick from Dallas, which may probably be a late pick, but it will help the Pistons rebuild. For the Knicks, they're getting back a player who can be a great fit on their roster. The Knicks ranked 29th in three-point attempts this season. That's bad, and it's the main reason the Knicks were so awful on offense. With this trade, they're getting back a player who's not only one of the best shooters in the NBA, but a nice fit alongside RJ Barrett and Mitchell Robinson. The Knicks can move RJ to small forward and start Luke Kennard at the 2 as a really good floor spacer. Luke Kennard isn't just an outside shooter either. This season, Kennard expanded his game and turned himself into a solid scorer and playmaker, evidenced by his 4 assists a game. He can now put the ball on the floor and hit a pull-up jumper or get all the way to the rim. And he's become pretty good at finding the open man. He's got a really solid handle and he can operate in the pick and roll. The main concern with Luke Kennard is his defense and his injury history. He's only 6'5", with a short 6'5" wingspan, and he lacks the lateral quickness to keep up with fast players. He's only played in 28 games this season and 63 games last season. But with what he could do on the offensive end, he could be a perfect fit for the Knicks roster while growing with their developing young core. In the third trade, the New York Knicks get themselves another lethal shooter and acquire Buddy Hield. Buddy Hield was the 6th pick in the 2016 draft. He had a solid rookie year for the Pelicans where he made the all-rookie first team. But afterwards, he was traded to the Kings in a trade that sent DeMarcus Cousins to the Pelicans. On the Kings, Buddy Hield has really blossomed and turned himself into a really good player. Buddy Hield averaged just under 20 points per game this season. He's truly one of the best gunners in the league as he shot 39.5% from 3 on a ridiculous 9.7 attempts a game this season. He gets his shot off ridiculously fast, and if you're not right on top of him, it's automatic. Despite Buddy's impressive production, it looks like he's going to be headed out of Sacramento. The Kings benched him last year in favor of Bogdan Bogdanovic. Hield has made it clear that he isn't satisfied with coming off the bench, and it's been reported that he may request a trade this offseason due to the dissatisfaction with his role. Why did the Kings bench Hield? According to the head coach, benching Buddy wasn't a punishment. According to Luke Walton, this move was done for the betterment of the team. He felt that Hield would be best served as a really good second unit scorer than as a starter on the Kings. For what it's worth, the Kings went 13-7 with Hield coming off the bench after they started off a horrible 15-29 with Hield starting. Regardless of the team impact, Hield isn't very happy with his new role as a sixth man. In this trade, the Knicks sent Julius Randle, Dennis Smith Jr., and a 2023 first-round pick from Dallas to the Kings in return for Buddy Hield. The reason the Kings do this is because they're getting rid of a player who wants out and getting a couple of young players who could be good additions to their team. Dennis Smith Jr. is still young and has potential. Julius Randle, while he may not be an all-star level player, he still puts up pretty good stats and he can still help the Kings out. Also, the Kings are getting a future first-round pick, which can be vital to their rebuild. For the Knicks, this move helps them because they are adding a lethal shooter to a team that desperately needs shooters. Hield could play the starting 2 spot while RJ Barrett plays the small forward spot. Hield provides the Knicks not only a really good floor spacer, but someone who could take the scoring pressure off of RJ Barrett and help carry the load. The main issues with Hield is that he isn't a good defender, and he isn't much of a passer, but what he brings on offense more than makes up for his deficiencies. Buddy Hield is a bit up there in the years as he's already 27, but he could be a nice piece to the Knicks' young core, at least for the next 2 seasons. With that said, those are 3 trades that I think are both realistic and help the Knicks move forward towards relevancy. I don't think it's realistic to expect the Knicks will be able to acquire one of the league's top stars in their prime, like Damian Lillard, but these moves are savvy and help the Knicks in both the short term and the long term. But with that said, do you guys agree or disagree with these trades? What trades would you make to improve the Knicks? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching and enjoy the rest of your day.